All right, what is up, everybody? We're now just a few days off of that loss to Oklahoma. Things are starting to take shape, and Michigan is wasting no time making a couple of changes that are needed. One, the hand is forced based on the suspension of Sharon Moore, and the other one is just how we are going to change what we're doing offensively. It makes sense that we're not going to do a ton of changing of what we did defensively. The defense wasn't great against Oklahoma, but it wasn't bad. The biggest changes are going to come on the offensive side of the football, which could not get anything done. Now, there is one thing that I do want to refer back to, but let me ask you this question. What would be the one change you would make if you were Sharon Moore or interim head coach Biff Poggi? What would be one change that you would make to this team? There are some big changes ahead, all right? And one of those, like I said, comes on the coaching front. And that is our new head coach for the next 2 weeks. He's not doing a rotating thing or anything like that. It is Biff Poggi to coach the next 2 games for the Wolverines. All right, so I'm excited about that one. He's going to get the next 2 games for U of M. Now, if you don't know about who Biff Poggi is, this was a big get to get him back. This is a guy who's been coaching since 1987. He was at the Gilman School for a very, very long time. And then he accepted a position in 2016 with Michigan football as an analyst under Jim Harbaugh. All right, this is very interesting. Then he went to St. Francis Academy back in Maryland from 2017 to 2020. Then in 2021 and 2022, he came to U of M as the associate head coach. So this is a guy who has had this type of thing. Then he was hired away and went to Charlotte, where he was a head coach for 2 years. Now, he went 6-16 in those 2 years, but he is a guy that has head coaching experience. Now, he's back with U of M as the associate head coach. He's back with U of M as the associate head coach after spending a lot of times in the other ranks, but it's a really weird resume, like high school, Michigan, you know, and then, he's a head coach all of a sudden at Charlotte. Just kind of crazy things that you see, but his job is not going to be to run an offense. His job is not going to be to run a defense. His job is not going to be to put a staff together. His job is very simply going to be run a team and let the offensive coordinator put him in a position to succeed, put the defensive coordinator in a position to succeed. He has 2 of the best coordinators in the country, and I know some of you are like, what? Did you not see Chip Lindsey? No, we're gonna talk about all this. But that is a big change that's happening. This got me thinking. Pretty soon we're going to get into another big change. That got me thinking. Do you remember when Harbaugh served his suspension and he gave all of his coaches, his coordinators, a shot at being, and even a running backs coach, right? At being a head coach for a day type of deal. Like each one of them got to do it, which I thought was hilarious, and it was a Jim Harbaugh thing in the biggest way. But it'll be nice for this team to have a guy that is going to be the guy for 2 weeks in a row. Now, remember, this suspension is different for Sharon Moore. This is different for Sharon Moore than, say, what it was for Harbaugh. It is now something where he is going to be away from the team at practice as well, not just during the game like it was with Harbaugh. All right, so what is the next one? Well, Sharon Moore had his latest episode of Inside Michigan Football radio show. And you can expect Haynes and the rest of the running backs to carry a heavier load moving forward. We know that. That's not what I wanted to hear exactly. I think it's time to let Underwood loose a little bit more, but they're going to take it slow. There is a level of recruiting where I'm like, how do you continue to, everybody's like, we need more receivers. Well, how many receivers are going to come to a program that doesn't throw the ball 20 times a game? At what point are you going to let it happen? I think it will happen at some point during this year, but they did the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. They had a guy who's an NFL caliber quarterback. There's not a lot of those out there, starting NFL caliber quarterbacks. There's 32 of them. That's how many teams there are. So I'd make the argument there's really only 25. But because not every quarterback that's starting should be. All right, 17 of 37 Russell Wilson was for the Giants. I'm not saying he wasn't an NFL caliber starting quarterback at one point, but I don't know if he still is. But here's what Sharon Moore had to say. He said, what we want to work on is consistent execution. You know, how we help them in the game plan with less things and make it more simple for them will be a big part of it, Moore said. We have the skill, we have the talent to go be good, and we just need to go do that consistently. And that is one of the things that I saw that I struggled with. All right. He said this is not a knock on Underwood, but a mini reset to return Moore's run-heavy philosophy. It already is a run-heavy philosophy. So, like, as we continue in this article, it's like, yeah, we already do that. But here's what he said. Whether it be spacing in the passing game, timing in the run game, not really the what to do, but more the how, and executing at a consistent level, Moore said. Look, this happens when you bring in a new coordinator. And by the way, Michigan has had a new coordinator each of the last 2 years. It went from Sharon Moore to the debacle that was last year to Chip Lindsey this year. These things take time. Some terminology changes. What one coach wants is different than what another coach wants. Like, that is how these things continue to happen. So we need to simplify the offense back down. Against Central Michigan, it will work. What is the simple thing we have to do? Offensive linemen missing assignments, probably thinking too much, right? And I will admit, I saw that. It wasn't a lack of athleticism that our offense was struggling with, but if you go back and watch the film, rarely are our linemen getting off their blocks to get to the second level. Oftentimes, it almost feels like they're being moved backward. That is not always a sign of lack of strength or athleticism. Oftentimes, that is a sign of overthinking. It's so much easier to see on the defensive side of the ball. I call it stiff hips, right? Where players aren't that quick twitch reaction. It looks like they're moving in slow motion everywhere they go, or they're just a half a step slow. In the offensive side of the ball, it presents itself in a different way. You see the defense blowing by you. It felt like the linebackers had their ears pinned back the whole time. And maybe they did, right? Maybe they did, but maybe they didn't. All right? Also, guys, to watch for in the coming weeks, Sharon Moore keeps talking about Jasper Parker, the freshman running back. He's still there. He keeps talking about Andrew Marsh, even though he struggled. Edge rusher Nate Marshall, who got some run in the last game. These guys are there too. Kept talking about love for Jordan Marshall and all that kind of stuff. So, a lot of good things happening. We're going to have more videos coming this week before the next game. We got some great injury news. I'm going to talk about that in tomorrow's video. And then I'll talk about a couple of guys that I think, or a couple of names to watch out for in the Central Michigan game as well. All right. Thank you for watching. Want to be your go-to sports source for Wolverines football. Again, newer channel, but I'm not a guy who's new to this. I have another channel, Sports Talk Detroit, with my buddy Chris. And a Sports Talk Extra. We do this. This is our second job, right? This is not my primary job, but talking football, doing this stuff. Want to be your go-to source. Get everything for you in an easy to listen to thing where you never have to worry about a swear word. It's family friendly. We want to be family friendly here, so you can watch confidently or listen confidently with your kids in the car, in the living room, whatever it might be. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.